Hey everyone, welcome to Moving Matt. We do all things cameras with a dash of vlogs and a little bit of travel. And today I'm going to be giving you my review of the Sigma 24-70 2.8 Art DGDN lens. And even though it's written on the lens, I could still barely remember that. So with some of my Sony A7 IV videos, people have been asking what lens they should get with that camera. So depending on when you're watching this, the A7 IV may be out already, but as the recording of this video, it is not out yet. But I do have the Sony A7 III, so I do have a perspective on this lens with a camera that's going to be at least comparable to the A7 IV in a lot of ways. So the way I'm going to structure this video is I will show you some examples of pictures and videos I've taken with this lens, but overall I'm just going to be giving you my impressions of this lens because this has been my workhorse of a lens. So there's a lot of different camera channels out there that will just give you the side-by-sides, and if that's what you're into, then you can leave this video running so you don't ruin my watch time and maybe later go check out that video. But if you're here just to kind of get an overall impressions of what this lens can do and also just the feel of what this lens is in your hands, then you're in the right place. But also, since you're coming here wondering which lens you should get for your A7 IV or which lenses you should get for your A7 IV, I would like to give you my experience with this lens and kind of make the case, or at least give you some of the reasons why you should probably pick up a 24-70, and in particular this 24-70. So if you're new to cameras or full frame cameras, essentially the 24-70 focal length is what we would consider your generic basic focal length that pretty much everybody needs to shoot in at one point or another. Now, of course, you may be into different types of photography. Maybe you need a telephoto lens, or maybe you need a wide angle if you're doing a lot of different vlogging. But that 24-70 is where most people sit for most of the time. I've heard it said that between 27 and 35 is, generally speaking, what your eye sees, or the focal length of what is a natural view for most people. And then as you move up in progression, you get to the 50 and closer to the 85, and you start to get that portrait look that a lot of people want. So now that I've talked about why the 24-70 is an important focal length, let's get right into this lens and talk about the build quality of this lens. So essentially, one of the first things you'll notice when you pick up this lens is it's a very heavy, high quality lens. There is a lot of metal on this lens. There's a lot of glass inside this lens. Now, this does have a zoom in and zoom out, and it actually brings the glass out. Preferably, one of my biggest critiques of this lens would be that I wish it had an internal zoom somehow, but it's not that big a critique considering the build quality of the rest of this lens. One thing that is also great is that you have the button that's programmable, that Sony cameras allow you to customize your buttons, and a lot of people love that feature, and a lot of third-party lenses do not come with that. And if you're mix matching, say, the Sigma with one of your other Sony lenses, you will be used to using that button, and this offers that button as well. Another thing I like is it has the lock. So even though this has an extended zoom, you can lock it for traveling purposes. Another great little feature is it has the autofocus switch right here, so it can go from autofocus to manual focus on the lens directly. And that is just the added little extra bonuses that usually you might just get with a Sony first party lens that now you can bring over to this lens as well. So why pick this lens over, say, the Sony 24-70 G Master lens? Well, one of the biggest, most obvious things is the price. The G Master is close to twice as expensive, but not only that, from the reviews that I've seen, this tends to work even better with the new Sony system, and in pretty much every way, it either matches or surpasses that lens. And like I said, it's almost half the price. Now, the other options you have in that 24-70 range is the 28-75 Sigma and also the 28-75 Tamron. Now, I've owned the Tamron 28-75. It is a great lens, but in comparison, it feels a little bit like a toy. It's very light, it's very plasticky feeling, and it's great if, you know, you're kind of on the go and maybe you just really want that light lens. But for the better image quality and also just the build quality in general, the added benefits of having the different switches, I think it's worth the little bit extra money that you have to pay, because this is about $200 more than those, but I think it's well worth it. Another option you have that kind of covers that range, and if you're kind of going for a one lens to rule them all, is you have the 24-100G f4 from Sony. Now, the reason I wouldn't go with that is it is a little bit older glass, and unless you just really want that extra length, I would much prefer going with a 2.8, getting the extra light, have the extra quality of this lens, and also you're saving $200 off of that, and maybe save that $200 and go get you a prime later, or get a telephoto lens if that's what you want to go with. So if you're coming from another camera system, or you're just new to cameras in general, you may be wondering, do I really want to go with a Sigma, like a third-party lens, versus a first-party lens coming from Sony? And the answer is yes. And the reason is because the Sony E-mount is an open platform. So essentially Sony shares all the software information. So pretty much every lens can work as a native lens, and Sigma and Tamron both have worked really great with Sony, and they're very familiar with that system. So there you have it. That's pretty much all my thoughts on this lens. It is an excellent lens. I highly recommend it. Don't just fall because you have a Sony camera that you need a Sony lens. This really is the best lens that we have in the Sony system right now. Now, that is with a caveat. There is supposed to be a G Master 2 coming from a 24-70. That's not out yet. That's just completely rumored lens, but it's probably going to be coming. But even if it does come, it's going to be coming at a price tag that is probably double this. Now, I will have it linked below. At the time of this recording, it is not an affiliate link, but if anything like that ever changes, I will let you know in the description below. But I hope you've liked this video and you got some value out of it. And if you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. And until next time, peace.